Hi guys, how are you? An Unknown Girl by Moniza Alvi. Of course, the compilation and the narration is done by none other than Sherlock. So stay put. Let's do this thing quickly. So therefore, An Unknown Girl, Moniza Alvi. Background. Moniza Alvi was born in Lahore, Pakistan. She has a Pakistan father and an English mother. Her father moved the family to England when she was very young, and she did not go back to Pakistan until after her first book of poems had been published. She worked for several years as a teacher in London and is now a freelance writer and tutor. First of all, we're going to dig into the part understanding the text. This poem describes the poet's visit to India and the time that she had her hand hindered by a girl in the bazaar. It was an experience she never forgot. The poem makes many connections between Western and Eastern culture. The unknown girl seems to stand for the true spirit of India, which has now been influenced heavily by aspects of the Western culture, often called Westernization. India is seen as a colorful and beautiful, and this is reflected in the decoration of the henna pattern. With its complicated peacock design, Alvi chooses her words to convey the atmosphere and colorful scenes in India and also to illustrate some westernized elements of Indian society. The language that Alvi uses is mostly quite straightforward, but the poem includes some words that may be less familiar. Okay, good students, what kind of an exam style question are you expected straight away without wasting any time? How successfully does the writer of quote unquote an unknown girl present her feelings about the country that she has visited? Now, in your answer, you should write about first the images of the country, two, the way she feels about having her hand painted, and three, the writer's use of words, phrases, and any techniques. You should support your answer with close reference to the passage, including brief quotations. So these are our sample answer right here. In the poem, there is evidence of the use of colors and sense of things changing. They appeal to the sense of sight, touch, and sound. And I quote, brown, satin patch, colors, amber, wet. The girl touching the writer's hand and studying it on her knee, soft. Furious streets are hushed. So what this does is that it creates excitement of the setting. The writer describes the place in the Indian context. Evening bazaar. People who cling to the side of a train. This is contrasted though with the sense of a Western influence. And I quote, dummies with their Western palms, banners for Miss India 1993, and also neon. There is also a sense of identity evoked by the place and the event. When India appears and reappears, I will lean across the country with my outstretched hands. And of course, there is a mysterious quality about the girl. Unknown is repeated 4 times, heightening this mystery. She admires the girl and her inner patterns, and I quote, very deftly. A peacock stretches its lines. I have new brown veins, soft as a snail trail, the amber bird beneath. There is a sense that the writer may never really get to the heart of the real India, which she desires to do, and which the girl represents. With my hands outstretched, I quote them, longing for the unknown girl. There is a further sense that on another level, the girl could be a symbol of India or the essence of India. The girl is mentioned in her Indian context, and at the end of the poem appears to be linked to the Indian identity. So the writer has used various aspects of language. Good students, pay attention to this, that the writer has used various aspects of language. There is repetition of particular phrases with variations. In the evening bazaar, an unknown girl is hennaing my hand. Use of metaphor is evident in the text, and I quote, icing my hand. A peacock spreads its lines. That's another metaphor right there. And also another one is the amber bird. Okay, the amber bird. This helps create a picture of the beauty of the pattern formed during hennaing. Another aspect of use of language is the use of colors and light. Satin patch, brown, amber, neon, colors leave the streets, float up in balloons. Use of simile is also evident in the text, like people who cling to the side of a train. That's the first one. And the second one is as a snail trail. There's also the use of personification in the poem. Dummies in the shop fronts which tilt and stare. Dummies, they don't do that. That is an animal attribute or a human being, a human nature rather. So the furious streets, streets don't get furious, but that is an aspect of personification right there. When India appears and reappears. Now, the writer incorporates use of lexis, which places the poem in its Indian context, and I quote, bazaar, hinaying, rupees, and kameez. Juxtaposition of East and West has also been used in the text, and I quote, neon bazaar, interesting use of verbs and adjectives, creating images, and I quote, squeezes a wet brown line, icing, spreads its lines across my palm, canopy me, clinging to these firm peacock lines, shadow stitched, satin peach, end of quote. Use of onomatopoeia, squeezes, hashed, scrap, series of images punctuated by repetition of the central events is also the structure of the poem. Now, good students, you might as well want to pause. And again, I would like you to stay tuned for the next video. And for those who've missed the previous videos, I would recommend, highly recommend that probably, not that you'd missed a lot, but it's good for your consumption that you go through so that you keep on updating yourself to the work before you sit for your exams. And above all, I just want to say, wish you the very, very best in your exams.